if you don't know what you want from 2026 yet, and January already feels noisy with other people's goals, you're in the right place. I'm going to help you orient yourself at the start of the year, wherever you are in your goal setting process. So you might have a full set of goals that you're ready to go with, you might be deliberating on them, or you might just be feeling really stuck. I'm Maya Gudka, economist turned executive coach, and for the last 15 years, I have helped now thousands of brilliant leaders reduce the amount of overwork and get clear on what really lights them up. Over the next few Mondays in January, I am going to be applying this to money, career, and daily routines. So if you want me to help guide you through January step by step, do press subscribe and join in with this series. If, by the way, you're listening on the podcast, then the link to subscribe to the YouTube that I'm referring to is in the show notes. So let's dive in. The first bit that I want to talk about is January as a unique window. January is actually a really unique month in the year. It is quite a slow and long month, and some of the usual pressures can be a little bit lighter. So there's less social. It can be a great incubation period. What this means is that you can think properly, you can reflect without jumping straight into action, and you can therefore allow better ideas to form instead of just default ones. And that's why I don't launch big things in January. Instead, I prioritize organizing, clearing space, and getting foundations and your kind of house in order, metaphorical or actual. So that still uses the New Year energy because this is a unique window when it comes to organizing. But it also really plays to the energy of the season. So I tend to think of January to March as brilliant time for really good organization and foundations. And this is everything from physical organization to financial and admin organization. And some of that is often the most important. I'm going to be talking about that in next week's episode. Spring can then become more of a natural launch phase. And then summer is often a season of high activity, outdoor fitness activities as well. So this approach is not about doing less, but it's about picking the right work for the right time and the right season. But for many of you, this week you will be having kids going back to school, and this might be your first moment post the festive season to think really clearly. And for that, I want us to start with the word of the year. Let's say you're feeling a little bit more stuck when it comes to your goals, or they don't quite feel how you want them to feel. You don't quite feel as motivated about them. A gorgeous way to start is with your word of the year. It's kind of like, what does your soul want and need right now? It's that slightly more spiritual, soulful mood that you want to create as you go about all of the things that you're going to do next year. A couple of years ago, I asked my email list what their word of the year was, and the most common word of the year that people shared with me was the word growth. That is a great word, of course, and we all want growth one way or another. But is that what you truly want out of your year? Or is it what you think you should want? Just another goal, just another thing that we should do. And that was my challenge back. And the answer will be different for everybody, but that was the challenge, because your word creates an overarching theme, mood, and vibe for your year. Let me just give you an example. My word of the year last year was surrender. Now, when I did my year-end review, and you can go back and listen to that episode, I did it in quite a systematic way. I was shocked at how much was achieved in a year when I had essentially said that my guiding principle was one of surrender, leaning back, letting things flow, and not driving in the way that I am accustomed to doing. What that meant was when I got to the end of the year and I saw everything that happened, I could say, this happened and my way of being was one of surrender. Now, I could have had exactly the same achievement list and things that made me really proud, but that could have been done through hustle, burnout, and exhaustion. And that would have felt very different. And at my stage of life, I don't really want the latter. I don't want achievement at all costs. I want to enjoy each step of the way. So the beauty of having a word like that is that it helps you think about the approach for that year. So my word of next year is laughter. And what that means is that whatever else I choose to do in terms of goals, when I come to the end of the year, I hope I'll be able to say that it was a year that was rich in that. So I hope that gives you a few ideas now for your own word of the year. That's the first bit. Now, the second bit Again, this is just going to help you feel really aligned in the goals that you've set, because it's very easy to just go with the top 5. There's a standard list of New Year's resolutions. I did a check for some of the most recent lists of common resolutions, and it's the usual suspects: lose weight, exercise more, save more money, pay off debt, reduce stress, better work-life balance, spend more time with family and friends, get organized, build and stick to a routine. These are the typical goals. And you may have similar ones, but you want to build them in ways that feels really authentic to you and in line with what you actually want. And that's where the 1 year question becomes really important. So I'm going to ask you, if you're up for it and you're in a safe space to do so, to just close your eyes and picture yourself a year from now. So you're in January 2027 and things have gone really well. What's looking different? What are the things that you can notice going on in your life or around you that feel different from today, if things have gone as well as they possibly could? And I want you to notice the images that might come to your mind. If you're less of a visual person, then you may want to write something down. You may want to pause this video, write something down, but it's whatever sort of surfaces. We're calling on that more imaginative part of our brain. So most of us are very left-brained, which means the more rational, executive function, analytical side. But when we just do a little bit of that visualization, we're calling on the other half of our brain that is more creative, more expansive, also more resourceful, and often where we get more of our inspired selves. And so when you do a little bit of that, your visualization, you're just tuning into that part of your brain as well. So you've got your full brain at the table when it comes to looking at your goals. So notice what came up for you. I'm going to share one that's come up for me, and that's just literally an image of me finally being able to do my pull-up. I would love to hear what came up for you, but whatever those things are, those are the things that are surfacing for you. Pay attention to those and use those to make sure that your goals are actually doing what you really want them to do. So now you've got some really lovely things happening. You've got a sense of the vibe of the year. In my case, that's going to be laughter. That's my word of the year. And then you've pictured a few things that you'd like to look different in a year's time. Now, the final thing that I want to mention is the EFF framework. And that is not about choosing the goals themselves, hopefully thinking about your word of the year, picturing yourself a year in advance, and other work that you might have done has started to give you an idea of which goals you want to pick. But the process for approaching these goals is going to be easy, fun, and fits with your life. Now, most of these speak for themselves, but for example, I almost want you to say, on your laziest day, are you still likely to take that little step? That makes it easy. When it comes to fun, and it's, for example, an admin task like we're going to talk about next week, pair it with a coffee, a nice notebook, ritualize it. And then, of course, fits with your life. If it only works in 1 week in January, then it's not going to be sustainable. So we want to make sure that this is really baked in to your future schedules. Over the next few Mondays, I'm going to specifically apply it to money, career, and daily routines. We're going to start with money because it has the highest leverage. There is no point in having a beautifully organized junk drawer if you don't have your basic financial housekeeping in place. And I see this having a huge career impact as well. If I'm coaching two very similar people who are at very similar positions in their career, the one that has more financial flexibility for themselves has a completely different set of career options available to them. And so it actually has a huge impact on your career choices as well. And that's why it sits at the top of my January priorities, and I'm going to tackle that one first. So whether you've got your goals set up or not, if you want to go through January in a structured and realistic way, then subscribe and join me for the rest of this series. January is for getting organized, getting clear, bedding down maybe a few routines. You don't need huge goals, but you do want a bit of clarity and direction. That's what we're going to be doing over the next month. And I look forward to connecting with you next time. And if you're thinking that you want to go down this route a little bit further, then this is the perfect time to do my Vision Unblocked program, a 3-day program that literally orients you towards your longer term vision and helps you set up weekly time to progress towards your vision in the simplest possible way. So the link for that will also be in the show notes. I look forward to connecting with you next time. Bye-bye.